Okay. I'd like to open this meeting of the Amenia Town Board. Our workshop meeting on Thursday, April 4th, 2024. Just need to get everyone else to, what?
No, nothing.
No, all right, I thought you were
going
giving me
into
a look.
executive session?
And now yes, but don't we have to get an okay on that first? Yes.
You may.
And I make a motion, we go into executive session.
A second.
And that's for the purposes of interview for committee positions?
Exactly.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Ham?
Yes.
Council members Rebillard?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
And let the record reflect that Councilman Winters is absent. And the time now is 6:37.
We
You have one?
We open the meeting before our executive session, so I'd like to make a motion to go back to our regular meeting and out of executive session.
A second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilpersons Rebillard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
And the time now that we're starting our regular meeting is 7:13.
So let's begin by saluting the flag, which got moved a little, but it's still in that more or less in the same place. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Emergency exits, for those who aren't tired of my saying it, are the door you came in and this door over here. And you can do the roll call, Dawn Marie.
Supervisor Blackman?
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Rosanna Ham?
Here.
Council members Rebillard?
Here.
Winters?
Here.
Ahern?
Here.
And I will note that our attorney is going to be a bit late this evening. So we begin with public comment, and I guess since we have specific
You guys go first.
visitors to go ahead about a blood drive.
Good evening. My name is John Vivian. I'm the director of the middle and high school at Olivet Academy, which is the boarding school over on Morse Hill Road, where the Kildonan campus is. And I'm honored to introduce to you a few of our students from the Health Club who are leading a blood drive together with the Red Cross. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to introduce it and just give a general invitation for anybody who's interested to come and participate. So I'll give it over to Hiwan.
Hi, so my name is Hiwan. I'm a high school senior at Olivet Academy, and here with me is Micah, and we're a part of the Health Club. And our blood drive is going to take place on Wednesday, April 17th, at our school's gym. It will be happening from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it will be open for anyone who registers through the website or through one of the, we made a flyer, and you can scan the QR code and sign up and register and come to our gym and donate. We're really excited to host our first blood drive, and we hope that a lot of the Amenia Town can participate together with us. Yeah, thank you so much.
Dawn Marie, do we have that posted somewhere?
I do. We
You
have it. We
okay.
have it in the entryway, and it was
Great.
going to be part of my public comment
Oh, well, then
tonight.
I won't- I don't wanna steal your thunder.
No, I'm very happy that the students could come tonight, being that it's their very first blood drive. So
Yeah,
I'm very,
thank you
I'm
very
very
much.
proud of
Yeah,
them.
we're
and
super
to
excited.
support their efforts.
Thank you for
Yes.
inviting us.
Okay, public comments. Yes. Step up to the microphone, please, and state your name.
Hi, my name is Shannon Roback. So I'm going to give public comment on something that maybe is a little bit cheesy and not actually super consequential. But, you know, I follow developments in the town. I follow social media in the town. There's some new changes, some new buildings going in. I recently saw a mock-up of some new signs that will be going in. And I just want to urge the town board to consider the authenticity of the aesthetic of our town as new people come in and want to develop things. The signs don't really feel like they are representative of the sort of aesthetic and history of our community. They look very generic, like from some weird suburban housing development in the 90s. I don't know any other way to put it. And, you know, there's some buildings going into town that just look like they're like, you know, these buildings that are being built in every metropolitan city in the country. And
Wait, are there new buildings that I don't know about?
well, no, just, you know.
Renovations?
Renovations,
Thank
sorry,
you.
not new buildings, but renovations. And obviously, like, I don't know how much control we have over the aesthetics of renovations, but I don't know if the signs are something that are still up for debate in any way, but I would just really caution the town in thinking about, you know, building to try to lean into the authenticity and the uniqueness of the town versus, like, I don't know, these signs are just, honestly, they're terrible. So yeah, that's my comment. I don't really know what I'm asking for other than for that kind of consideration. I don't know, are these signs like a done deal? Are we stuck with these now, or?
We approved half of it last time. We didn't approve the frame for the signs, which we are supposed to do tonight. I have been planning to hire a graphic designer to sort of, so that we have a sort of standard to work from. But, you know, I've been saying I was going to write a request for proposals for 2 months probably, and haven't done it yet. So I'll get on that. It sounds like you want that. I mean, that
Yeah,
would
so
be
there's going to be maybe an option for some alternative designs.
There's also, the zoning code is pretty specific about signage, and presumably any signs that go up have to go through the zoning board of review, no, wait a minute. No, if they keep to the, if they follow the zoning code, they don't. If they exceed the dimensions or somehow, are internally lit or something else, they have to go before the zoning board of appeals. And also the building department is supposed to pay attention to construction so that it does meet certain historical standards, but I don't think they ever do that, so.
Okay, is there like an
try.
intercedence point for the public in that
I'm
process?
sorry.
To like make sure that they do consider that?
Well, we were supposed to have not a historical society, we have one of those. We were supposed to have like a preservation board or something that was supposed to make those decisions. We don't now. It's possible that the zoning board could be tasked with that, but it's something that I realize is in our comprehensive plan and just never happened, so.
Yeah, I just think if there, as these changes are made, it would be good to have some people considering, you know, the town aesthetic and maintaining Amenia as like a unique entity.
Okay, that's great, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Nope, go ahead, Judy.
It's Judy Murray, and I truly do not mean to be argumentative, and I had nothing to do with setting up these signs, but people volunteer their time and efforts to try to improve something in the town. Right now, there are no signs, and I don't think it's helpful to use quite as dismissive language on work that's been done by people who are just trying to make something better. We can all agree or disagree, but I would like to hear just a little bit more. Thank you, maybe we could look at that. That's just my opinion as someone who lives here. Thanks.
Just for the record, James Ollinger is the guy who was interested in doing the signs. He's been pushing for that for a while. He sort of came up with that idea, and he bought a building in town recently and just felt like there wasn't much of a welcoming presence. So, Shannon leave?
Shannon left.
Shannon left, okay. So that this was really more for her benefit. So we wanted to kind of maintain, we didn't want to discourage his enthusiasm, basically, and everyone seemed to feel it was a good idea to have these signs. We didn't really get very involved in the graphic design part of it. Again, we don't really have standards, so without that, it's kind of hard to make those decisions. Okay, all I have on that.
Just about the cannabis that's on the agenda.
Okay.
That's all. just something I wrote.
You still have to state your name, though.
My name is Anna Vecchio.
Thank you, Anna.
Resident of Amenia, New York. Excuse me. I just start off with what I wrote. I personally do not agree with adding a dispensary in the town. This is for a city area. By reading a few articles, these articles showed that illicit marijuana sales are up since they legalized marijuana, and they are trying to rectify this large task. Will this task ever be rectified? They charge 13% tax on the sales of marijuana from a legal dispensary in New York State. It's expensive to buy at a dispensary. You will only get a certain amount of the population buy it legally. In Colorado, there's about a 30 to 35% illicit market rate. That's the best case scenario. In a place like California, the illicit market controls 80 to 90% of the market. A quote found about Massachusetts, the legal cannabis industry took time to establish. The first year, it was estimated that 90% of consumers were still in the underground market. At this point, 5 years in, prices have dropped significantly. My guess is probably 50% or more of the sales are actually taking place in the regulated market. That's what the article stated. And if we see a consistent change, then I think we're meeting the goals of legalizations. I feel that this will add some type of people to the area as well that you would not like invited. There are also some robberies at dispensaries I read as well. I also think that furthermore, it has been shown to have adverse effects on mental health, intelligence, including irreversible declines in cognition and respiratory system. Driving while acutely intoxicated with marijuana greatly increases the risk of fatal motor vehicle collisions. Just an example, if someone just bought marijuana from your store here in Amenia and parks their car on the side of the road, smoke it, and then drives off, something bad happens, how would you feel if something happened? Personally, I would not want that feeling on my conscience. Could you live with that? If you have a neighboring town that is going to open up a dispensary, why do you feel the need you have to open up one? Amenia should be a family kind of town, a country town. Again, I don't see a vision in place. I just see things done in spurts, one project here, one project there. Also, how New York and California botched marijuana legalization, slow rollouts of dispensary licenses leave unmet demand that unlicensed outlets are happy to serve. Police and prosecutors facing pressing problems such as violent crime give little priority to stopping illegal pot. And high taxes on legal sales fan the embers of illicit ones. Is cannabis a priority at this time? There are lots of factors to focus on. I don't think this is a priority at this time. You are thinking about making money for the town. 5 people are deciding this for the whole town. There are many other ways to make lots of revenue, not necessary to do this at this time. By listening to your discussions and being a resident, there are a lot more priorities that need to be taken care of at this time. I have expressed myself and others have expressed them on many occasions. It seems like a certain percentage of the public, your residents, your taxpayers are not being heard. A clear poll and analysis needs to be completed before you even have this issue on the agenda. It should be added for a later date and time. It seems as if you all just want to hear what your colleagues and people you know want, not what everyone wants. To me, that is unfair since they pay the salaries. I also think that you should advise your public in advance, at least 2 weeks minimum, of what is on your agenda about the town board meeting. Publicize it on Channel 22 and social media in advance. Let's see, in advance. Also describe your agenda with small paragraphs for each topic so others understand what it's about. Not just the title for each subject. Your audience needs to understand, not just you. You need to elaborate. Also, you should have a separate night for just public speaking, a 3-hour session, just for public speaking at least twice a month so you can really hear your public as well. One night, cater to on-site public hearing, have them reserve a time slot. You will know how much time to allot based on demand.
And I'm going to have to stop you on that
Okay.
subject. But thank you
Okay.
very much. That was 3 minutes.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your effort there.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, then we're on. I guess the supervisor's report is next. Okay, that's not it. Oh, it's right here. So just reporting on the last couple of weeks. I stopped by our second senior social this week because there was so much enthusiasm after Katie set that up that it's now going to be a monthly event on the recreation calendar. The attendance was a little bad because of the rain, but I'm sure it'll be better next month. Under emergency planning, Nancy Nowak updated the town's emergency operations plan to reflect current members and roles. The highway garage, Labella Engineering has completed their revised feasibility study for the highway garage and salt shed. I've been working with John Andrews, the town's engineer, on an RFP for the rest of the architectural work. There are boards, which you see around you, explaining the project in detail. And Megan and Charlie were supposed to present this later, but Megan had a family emergency, so I think Charlie is presenting it later. The water district, VRI, our water operator, suggested that we investigate rebuilding the Lavelle pump house in place and extending the two water wellheads above the flood level. Their only concern is whether the pumped water will be influenced by groundwater. We've requested quotes from 4 engineers to test for that, ensure the proper setbacks can accommodate the new equipment, and engineer and cost estimate the treatment facility and wellhead extensions. If successful, this should be significantly less expensive than acquiring property and drilling new wells. Gymnasium floor. Stacy Mantle, the head of Amenia's Climate Smart Task Force, contacted us to ask if a greener product could be used for the gym floor and suggested poured linoleum. Tracy Saladay, the architect for the project, investigated and found this flooring is no longer sold in the U.S. So at this point, Tracy is trying to get final prices from 2 vendors, one for that flooring and one for a vinyl floor with heat welded seams, and both bids will include the cost of refinishing the solid maple or solid oak floor, I guess, underneath if that's in decent condition, which Stacy said is the greenest way to go. Town hall interior. I promised to televise both planning and zoning board meetings to keep residents informed about their important work. This requires them both to move down to this room where the equipment is located. I've spoken to Mike Flint, our videographer, who's agreed to broadcast 3 more meetings per month for a fee of $100 a meeting. We've also begun to renovate the second floor storage room, so half can be used as an employee break room by day and a dedicated space for town committees to meet at night. But wait, there's more. Northeast Community Center. This has been mentioned before, but I actually walked through the building with Christine Sargent, NECC's director, last week, and she is serious about setting up a satellite office in Town Hall. In addition to social service assistant, she also envisioned holding classes for seniors and teens right in town. NECC has a range of terrific programs, and they're willing to bring some to Amenia. We even discussed restarting our farmers market. It'll take a while to work out the details, but it should benefit many residents, and I'll keep you posted. Downtown improvements. I need to follow up with the Bank of Millbrook about their interest in upgrading Fountain Square. We had a conversation and they were going to get back to us. The Enhancement Committee's plans for the Center of Wassaic are stuck now due to a question of ownership because the title search got stuck. I contacted Metro North, who are willing to search for a survey of their property of the property adjacent to the right-of-way. I thought that the survey that they have of their right-of-way might give us the information we're looking for. James Ollinger, again, has been working to bring a new bakery to downtown, and that should open this month. Our finance director, Charlie Miller, will report a bit later on the work he's been doing. I spoke to our grant writer, Brenna Robinson, this week about some grant information I'd received and opportunities for funding some of our big and small capital projects. And Earth Day, Amenia's Climate Smart Community Task Force, yet again, is joining with Millerton's group to celebrate Earth Day this year. The event will be held at Town Hall on Saturday, April 20th from noon to 4 p.m. It will feature their popular repair cafe in the gym and a garden talk in the auditorium, all free. More information will follow. Okay, that's it for me. Town clerk.
Good evening. Previously submitted to the meeting was our March 21st minutes. Has everybody had the opportunity to review?
Yes.
I know Mrs. Ham has. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Leo?
I'll second.
Paul? Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Revillard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Also sharing with the board as well as our residents that the state, county, and local revenues for the town clerk's office was $175.50, with $164.50 having been remitted to the supervisor for the local share. Collected in taxes to date, $6,695,254.21. And collected to date is, in the amount for penalties, is $4,599.67, with the remaining to be collected, $2,931,682.01. As a friendly reminder to all of our residents that it is town tax collection for your property taxes. That does encompass all of your local special districts as well as the county. Friendly reminder, those taxes are payable here to me up until May 31st of this year. We are in penalty schedule at this time, so please reach out to me. You can call me here at the office at area code 845-373-8860, extension 125, or visit our website where you can download, pay, and print receipts for your tax bills. I do stress that to you so that way when June 1st comes and you're calling me saying that the system won't allow you to take your credit card payment, it is midnight on May 31st, and the system is very strict per our laws. So please make every effort to reach out to me, and I can help you and guide you with your fee schedule to what you owe. I do have to present with regret the resignation of Lorenzo Scafani from the Ethics Board. I'm in receipt of that. If you guys would be so kind to accept that.
Sure, I'll make a resolution, we accept his resignation.
Leo?
Second.
Anna? Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilpersons Revillard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
This is always the fun part. We got bids for our lawn mowing. Okay, so we are in receipt of two separate bids. Okay, our first bid is from Kindred Property Care LLC. And the bid amount is $41,475, and that would be for this mowing season. Our mowing season is today, April 4th through November 2nd. And for Northwest, the second submission is Northwest Lawn and Landscaping Maintenance, and their amount is $36,500.
Okay, so I make sorry.
yep.
So I make a motion that we accept the lesser bid from Northwest Lawn of $36,500 for lawn mowing around town this season.
For the specs, and it's April 4th through November 2nd. Okay, that's Leo. Is there a second? Paul? Oh, Paul.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Revillard?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. And with that said, I just want to share with everyone that's watching and those that are present in the room, we do have some open, other open positions that you have seen me advertise for, and those continue to be now advertised. Is going to be our Recreation Commission. We're seeking one member to serve on that. Our Water District, we still have one seat. Our Wastewater Committee, we still have one seat. And as you heard early this evening, I announced that there's a vacancy on Ethics. So I'm going to continue to advertise for those open seats, and should we get any applications prior to our next meeting, I'll let you guys know.
Great.
And if we could schedule at 6:30, I'll keep you guys, apprised to that.
Terrific.
All right, so we did hear earlier about our local blood drive. Congratulations to Avilet for hosting their very first blood drive. That's always super and exciting. The Amenia Historical Society has shared with me that they are going to be doing a presentation, women's suffrage, and that special presentation is going to be held here at the Town Hall on April 28th from, well, it starts at 2 o'clock here at the Town Hall. So this will be up and posted, so come on to the Town Hall for that. And just so the board knows, I'm currently working to have a pet first aid CPR class here at the Town Hall. Details are still being worked out. I'm working with Nadine Mikura as well as Wendy. So we're going to offer something fun and exciting here in our auditorium. So I don't have a date yet.
That's cool.
But no, we're going to have a pet first aid class coming.
Very
to town.
exciting.
So that's kind of exciting. So as I get more information, I'll be glad to share and the details are worked out.
I'll let my pets know, thank you. So the next report is from the wastewater committee, which actually just met. The committee just met just before this meeting, and thank you all for coming. I guess that would be Charlie.
You're going to get so sick of me tonight, I should have a costume change.
You didn't
So the wastewater committee did meet this evening. Supervisor Blackman and I had a kickoff call with LaBerge, the engineer for the map and plan and report earlier this week that went well. And Supervisor Blackman and myself also had a call with EFC, which is the main funding source for drinking water and wastewater projects in the state. So the wastewater committee is going to kick off a round of outreach to all business owners. We've done this before, but now that we're gearing up for the map plan and report, we're going to reach back out to all the business owners again. A number of them have changed, which is actually good. We know that all the new people are very much in favor of the project. And let's think if there's anything else. One of our members who works for an organization that ultimately does lobbying on behalf of projects somewhat like ours is going to approach them regarding the HVA report that we have a draft of now that was about surface water testing, demonstrating that our surface water is testing off the charts for E. coli and surfactants, which are soaps, which soap is not naturally occurring. If there's anything else.
That indicates that there are septic systems leaking.
Yes, that there are septic systems leaking into that. Two members of the committee are going to reach out to Dutchess County with that report in hand to see if we can get a letter from Dutchess County really urging us to address this issue, which we're hoping will possibly move our score with EFC. So that's that.
And would you just explain what that means?
Yes, so drinking water and wastewater projects are primarily funded either through debt or through grants through state revolving funds, which are the conduit that federal money comes through. So the Environmental Facilities Corporation, EFC, is the entity at New York State that manages those state revolving funds.
Great, thank you.
Oh, Charlie, I had a question for you.
Sorry.
Yep.
We previously used to have on the emails to us, when the meetings were, if they were going to be canceled because of lack of people coming and things like that. And I haven't received one of those in quite some time. I'm just going through the emails right now.
If our meetings are adjourned, we give a notice to the town clerk who posts it, or I should say, in the town clerk's office, or Nancy, who manages the calendar, which is the way that we kind of communicate with everyone.
Right.
Our last two meetings were adjourned for a lack of quorum.
Right, and I didn't see anything that there was a meeting tonight either.
Oh, I apologize. Our meetings are published on, the wastewater committee meets the
Well, I know when they
first-
meet,
Okay.
but going back to what you just said, sometimes they're canceled.
Yes, the only way that we can communicate that is on the calendar of the town website, which is when we have a canceled meeting, we post it there that it's canceled. Otherwise, we have a reoccurring meeting that's always on the calendar.
Right. And
Do you want me to
Yeah, what we
email the
used to
town
do.
board? Is
Well,
that what you?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I used to get an email from you regularly regarding the meetings, whether they were or were not going to be happening, up until this year, and then it stopped.
Okay, I'll check and see. Maybe it was, you might have been a member of the distribution group for the AWC, the wastewater committee, and maybe that email address. We worked with BAS to clean up all of our distribution lists, and maybe you fell off of that one.
Could you check into that for me?
Yes,
We'll work- we can work on that.
we'll put you on that list if you want to be on that list, yeah.
Well, I am a
It's
liaison, so, yeah,
It's a distribution.
Their point of
Yeah,
contact.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He's the point of contact?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
able to take care of.
yeah, I can make sure that it's, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Charlie, we're going to get, oh, no, the Water Committee. Is someone here from the Water Committee? I thought they were going to be.
No.
Seemingly not. Okay, my mistake.
Is Bill coming?
We are going to get to give you, Charlie, Director of Finance report.
Sorry. Let me pull this up real quick.
Wait, oh, it's Ian. Oh, I shouldn't access that.
So I had circulated my report to the town board earlier today. I'm sorry, it just came out now, but I'll move through this really quick. It's been a packed couple of months at Town Hall, for myself anyway, and I want to thank everyone who works in Town Hall who's been really amazing at working with me to get the information that I needed. So the investment policy, we implemented that earlier this year. We've always had an investment policy, but it's never really actually been used. So I went through and projected our short-term and long-term cash requirements for the rest of the year. We, through the town clerk, who actually collects the taxes for the town, so we carry a large cash balance at the beginning of the year, which trails off as we use that money. So we've now invested our excess cash with New York Class. In the 5 days that it's been invested there, we made almost $2,400. So we anticipate that we'll probably generate, for this year, around probably $8,000 a month in investment income, which the taxpayer money should be used, appropriately and should be invested. It's a very safe investment, by the way. Procurement policy and procedures. I have revised our procurement policy. The one that we have now was put together in 2009 and doesn't really have a lot of actual procedure element to it. So I know the town board is going to discuss that later. I based my draft off of Dutchess County, their policy and procedures, which is actually very good. It incorporates a couple of things that we haven't had before in the past, which are checking to see what your annual procurement amounts are. State law requires that if you buy $20,000 or more of something from one entity, you should actually bid that out. We haven't been following that. There's a number of elements like that that we really need to make sure are being followed.
Charlie, on the procurement policy, wasn't that set by Dutchess County?
No, Dutchess County, well, you must create a procurement policy by state law. Dutchess County, as a municipality, has a procurement policy, and every town has to have a procurement policy. So we have one now from 2009. I think you probably have a copy of that in your packets.
See if it's in the.
And I based the policy I'm proposing on Dutchess County. So it has some modifications because we don't have everything that Dutchess County has. We don't have a procurement department with people there, so some of that was stripped out. But for the most part, it's very similar to theirs.
Yeah, the previous one was 3 pages, and Ian had pointed out to me that a lot of it was very ill-defined, that a lot of it was not clear as to how you were actually supposed to do things and what allowed exemptions from those things. Yeah. So,
and this is very good. I think that Dutchess County policy was really great. It was a good template to use. And for the most part, a lot of it's word by word, truthfully, except I removed things, again, like we don't have a procurement office that does stuff like that. But again, the $20,000 for goods and service procurement is a state law. Public Works, anything above $35,000, you have to do a open multiple bid situation. So that policy has that. Our old one did too, but it didn't define exactly how you went through there. I've included criteria that you can use in assessing the bids that you get back. What else? Oh, we didn't have any kind of preference for local businesses. I included that in this proposed policy so that to the extent you got multiple bids, one was a local business, they were within a certain range of the lowest bidder, that you could go back to the local business. We want to obviously keep our money in our town as best we can.
And that is legal, I hope.
Yes, yes. It's not a preference list for housing, which is very different. So what else? I've gone through, the bookkeeper kind of assigned me grants management on my first day, and so I got a big stack of papers and went through all of that and have reached out to anybody who was associated with some of our grants. I will, in the next couple of weeks, have a grants management policy and procedures manual for you. We don't have that now. People apply for grants. Before somebody applies, they really should get authorization from the town board through resolution. That's not happening now for most grants. And they should probably be in line with some other strategy than just going out and doing it. There's reporting requirements for every grant that we receive. All of that should be managed, and I'll put together a policy for that. We also, so New York State, and if you're sick of me, just say, speed up, shut up, and you can read through it. New York State has changed their grants management online service. I've set us up through that, and I'm just waiting for a webinar tomorrow.
Just to interrupt for a moment.
Yeah.
The point is that we have received a number of grants, but until this past, well, I guess 2 years ago, we didn't actually have a grant writer, but the grant writer isn't necessarily the one who oversees the way the grant is managed and the way it's reported, which means that grants could be taken back if we don't do that. So Charlie is trying to keep track of that because there was no kind of central list of what grants we had received and what had to be done to kind of complete the terms of the grant.
And I will say, we have a lot of community members who want to get involved and want to find grants and everything else, but they need to be supported. You can apply for a grant, you could put together an incorrect budget, so even if you won it and it was 30% under what the project required, then if the town hadn't budgeted for it, there's just a number of issues with it. So we should support people who are trying to find us free money. Software and hardware, the town hall never had a software or hardware inventory, and so I have put together an inventory of all of our software. A big part of that is understanding how many licenses we have, how much they cost, who uses them, where's their overlap, and also to project in the future. One element of this was town email addresses and getting them, so we've now solved that problem. It shouldn't have been a problem to begin with. We pay $6 a month for a license for an email. It never should have been a problem. I audited our ARPA funds and provided the town board with an analysis of that. For everybody who's watching this, or will see it online, ARPA is the American Rescue Act. I'm forgetting the P, I'm sorry. So this happened during COVID, and the town received $450,000. That money is to be spent on a couple of very specific categories of items. To date, the town board has authorized and has spent $111,000 on two projects. One was well testing at Depot Hill Road. That was $73,350, and lead service line inventory records research, which was $36,600. So we have a remaining balance of $341,066 of ARPA funds. My intent, there is a mandatory filing at the end of April for our ARPA funds, is to claim revenue loss for that, which will free us up to be able to spend that money outside of the very specific categories that the...
Funds is what? Could you elaborate?
It's American Rescue Plan. There we go.
Very good.
Rescue Plan. Rescue Plan money that went to every municipality across the country as a way of addressing the COVID crisis. I provided the board with a review of potential cannabis revenue. I can get into that, but I know there's been a little bit of confusion. The state makes it very confusing the way in which it's taxed, but there is a local excise tax of 4% that is collected by the state, and that goes to the county where that revenue was generated, and then the county keeps 25%, and the other 75% goes to the municipality where the revenue generated. So all of that mumbo jumbo is that it's 3%. So 3% of sales of adult use on-site cannabis retail sales would come back to the town of Amenia. And I provided you guys with a couple of scenarios of projected revenue and what that would look like as cannabis revenue to the town. I provided a tax cert analysis for settlements for the town board, so you guys have that. The Highway Department Reserve Fund, Ian can get into this a little bit more, but the various past town boards over time have erroneously created multiple reserve funds and authorized money of this, that, and the other. Nothing nefarious. It was just more like some bookkeeping kind of things. And so I have
Ian and our accountant that made them crazy.
So we have a number of accounts on our general ledger that may or may not have been set up as reserve funds for the purchase of highway equipment. So I've now finished that analysis and that audit. It had been going on for, I don't know, Ian, 5 years, 7 years? Well, the paperwork I got was from a little while. So I'll have a report to Ian next week about that, so we'll be able to clean it up. The other reserve funds, I'm working my way through. So the last two things, highway garage funding, which we will talk about in a second. I've been working with Capital Markets, who is our financial advisor when it comes to bonding and bands. Bands are bond anticipation notes, so you would obtain a band for the beginning portion of the project, that would roll into a long-term bond. So I've been working with them and our bond counsel on the way in which this next project would be funded. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. Again, I'm sorry to harp on this procurement rules thing. I know the reason, as I had a conversation a while ago last year with Dutchess County about their rules and regulations and how they adopted them. In New York State, rules for purchases over $20,000 for public works and contracts and over $35,000 trigger the state competitive bidding rules. I don't think that the town of Amenia would want to do that, for example.
That's required by New York State law. So Ian can speak to that, but we have to do that, and we have not been on many cases.
I meant the limitations of that. So each town can, I think, establish...
Ian, do you want to?
Well, what I'm reading here, in each town, they can establish their own procurement rules?
You can, but it's also guided by general municipal law. So Charlie is correct that there are the $20,000 and $35,000 limits. They are limits which would trigger competitive bidding, unless you fall into one of the exceptions. Now, our policy is something I've discussed for a while because it's old. It hasn't been touched in a long time, and so there are threshold dollar amounts which trigger different types of procurement, as far as written quotes or number of written quotes or just an oral quote. So some of those numbers, over time, those numbers get really low, right? So they don't function well. And Amenia's I think are considerably low. So it's in need, it's in dire need.
And I agree with you, but again, my point was that ours were based on Dutchess County's procurement laws. At least I haven't seen the last one. Was it 2009?
2009, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that in conversation and some previous board meetings, I think we discussed it, about a $5,000 limit, for example, before we went into procurement rules, and that was based upon Dutchess County. I don't even remember what it was for, but I don't think that was in the 2009.
No, your non-discretionary spending, or the threshold was, I think it's 250 in the current policy, that's really low.
Yeah.
Generally, what you see in most municipalities is anywhere from 500 to 1,000. So 500, 750, or 1,000 generally is what you're seeing. And then they have increments from there that go up. So 0 to 1,000.
And I understand we're going to hammer this out anyway, but
Sure.
it's just something that caught my interest, because I was just reading about it.
Yeah.
I believe I've actually circulated sample procurement policies to the board before in years past. I can do it again if the board wants to see other towns' procurement policies.
Are the dollar amounts set by the state, or is that within the control of the town?
Right here.
20. So the state.
20 and 35, but that's what's set by the
So
There are others.
there's the state. The state says that anything above $20,000, you have to get multiple bids for.
It says
You actually,
public work, it says right here.
goods and services is 20,
It says public work contracts.
35.
It's over 35.
Yeah, so let's use some examples.
Yeah.
You need to buy paper. Paper is a good. You need to get somebody to mow outside. That's a service. So, anything of 20 or more of a good or service, you have to seek multiple bids. Now, you don't have to actually get 3 bids. You could possibly find out that you didn't. You just need to then document, well, I didn't get 3 bids and this is why. Or I only got 1 and there's only a sole source of that and that's why we're choosing that. It's just the basis of it is that you give people the opportunity to bid on something with the idea that more people bidding on something will drive the price down. So that's why the state wants to see those. Public Works would be, I'm going to update the concession stand. So that's a public work. So if you had quotes that were 35 or close to that, then you should actually send out an RFP for people to bid on it. Right, Ian? Am I summarizing that?
Yeah, you're good.
Any other questions? Okay, well, just to spare everyone listening to you uninterrupted, Charlie, I want to say something about the highway garage. So my first day as a town board member 2 years ago, I went over to look at the highway garage because I hadn't been there, and I wanted to talk to Megan. And
I didn't do it myself.
And I have to say that I was pretty shocked. First of all, the trucks all have to go through one door, and there are 3 rows of trucks, 2 deep. And the space between the trucks is, well, I had to turn sideways to get through it. So the standards that it's built according to, I don't even know that it was legal when it was built, but it certainly isn't anymore, and there's no room for the trucks to be washed or repaired in that garage. There are also problems with the structure. There's a gap between the roof and one of the walls. The bottom of the walls, the cinder block walls, has corroded from the salt exposure, so you basically only have like a half a block in places at the bottom of the building. And the facilities for the staff are really kind of horrifying. And there's no real storage space either. So there's no doubt that we need a new highway garage. And Victoria very wisely was able to trade land with New York State to get a 5-acre piece along Route 22 to build a new garage on. And so from here, the garage hopefully we'll move ahead on that piece of property. It's going to require a good amount of effort. Megan and I have already, and Victoria have already spent time with the engineer that was hired to do the feasibility study, and presumably the next steps will be refined, but we have to do an RFP for engineering beyond the feasibility study, and that's in the works. And Charlie wanted to walk you through the feasibility study because it was updated since we received it, because there were some categories that were kind of missing or kind of light that have been filled in, so we have clear information for the person that does the rest of the work.
And I'm just pitch hitting for Megan, who had a family thing she had to take care of tonight. So I just want to quickly, for people who don't know, the Highway Department is comprised of the supervisor, Megan, which is an elected position. She is a working supervisor. She works at the Highway Department. Paul, Darren, Preston, and Jay are crew members there, and then there's a part-time office manager, Judy. So it is a full staff. The Highway Department is, let me go through, I'm going to move through this really, really quick. So the Highway Department, we have 58 town roads. By the way, you can now go to the Amenia website, Highway Department, and you will see this, the feasibility study, a list of town roads, as well as a map of town roads, and we'll put this presentation up there as well. There are 31 miles of town roads, 62 lane miles, because all of those roads go both ways. If you're in doubt, most likely if you're driving on a road that doesn't have a center line, that's a town road. 7 bridges, we have mini catch basins. That's where water runs off onto a grate and then ultimately through a culvert, and many, many culverts. So the highway department is in charge of all of that, as well as grading, plowing during snow, cutting off branches, mowing grass, everything around our roads the highway department is in charge of. They are a vitally important part of our town. They make up a little over 30% of our town budget. So extremely important. Mowing roadsides, plowing, growing, we went all over that. Here we go. This is a quick map of the town roads. The town roads are in green. As you can see, it goes throughout the town. The red roads are state, which is really 343, 44, 22, and then the blue are Dutchess County. The existing site. So we're going to have on May 5th, that is a Saturday, right? Do I remember right? 4th. I keep doing that. May 4th, an open house at the Highway Garage, and we'll be sending out a postcard so that everybody knows to come, because you should see the town garage. It's a little frightening. Bring a hard hat. As Leo had said, it is an 80 by 50 concrete block building that was built prior to 1955. The site of the Highway Garage was a wetland. It is landfill that was then built on. The salt shed, which is 20 by 40, was a temporary structure put together about 18 or 20 years ago. The town had actually received a grant for a new salt shed, but could not use that grant money because they discovered it's on a landfill. The salt shed is also abuts the river, and we suspect that salt is leaching into the river. It's on 2.5 acres of relatively usable land, and again, like I said, it abuts a federal wetland and a floodplain. This is a map, which is also in the feasibility study of where the Highway Garage is, the sort of darkened area inside the orange square. Pauling Corporation, which is where the old Borden plant was, that's what you see up to the upper right-hand corner. And then Wassaic Creek is the lower right-hand, and Wassaic Park. The Highway Garage is falling apart. That's 2 images there on the left, and on the right is the salt shed. So the salt shed is so small, we store salt there, and then the salt is mixed with sand between a 3 to 1 to 4 to, well, a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 ratio. And there's a big, you can actually see it here. In the middle, in the lower portion of your screen, is the pile where salt and sand are being mixed together, and then that's loaded into spreaders. It actually becomes very wet and heavy because water gets on it as it rains and snows, and it would be ideal to be covered with before mixing. This upper picture is the inside of the garage with nothing in it except one truck. The lower 2 left-hand pictures are the trucks parked inside the garage. That's the way it looks. There is no room. Well, we also are putting together a plan for equipment replacement because, you know, trucks have a useful life. So all of the equipment can't be covered either because there's no space for it. And the roof leaks. This is the restroom facility, which, well, you can see. So the engineer reviewed the current site and conditions and found them to be unsafe and outdated, completely past their useful life, you know, on a relatively small portion of land. I mean, all of this stuff we've gone through. There also, I should say, so the Highway Garage has fuel storage for their trucks, but the fuel storage is limited, and so it has to be replenished every time they go out on a large event of plowing or whatnot. So ideally, you know, there would be enough fuel storage so that you wouldn't have to wait for somebody to come and refill it. There is no backup generator there, and there's no fire suppression. This is the map of the parcel that Victoria was able to get from New York State. It abuts the New York State Highway Garage. So it is just south of the 10-mile train station or Sempach Road there. The new site is 5 acres, so it's twice as large as the current usable space. The specifications from the engineer, 13,000 feet of garage space, 2,300 for covered storage. There is like this pole barn type structure where the current highway garage is. It's not large enough to even cover everything that's put in there. It would include 6 double bays for driving in of the equipment. New, well, clearly everything would be new, but there'd be office spaces, toilet spaces, things of that nature. Enough room to pull in 2 trucks to actually work on the trucks and be covered. Salt shed, on-site well and septic. So remember, it's a blank piece of property. It would need a new well, it would need a septic system. There would be, large fuel storage, backup generator, fire suppression. This is a graphical representation of the site. The lines coming from the left over is a drive-through. The supervisor is reaching out to New York State to see if there's a possibility for us to use to have some kind of easement or share of the New York State highway garage driveway. I think that's probably 50-50, truthfully. It would save a little money, but probably not a ton. We'll get to the budget in a second, but the site preparation of everything is only a small portion of the overall cost. This is a rendering of the new highway garage. This is actually looking west, so looking towards 22 and the back. You see there's fuel storage there to your left, and then the bays, some overhang. The rounded building in the background is the salt shed. This is taken from high up, looking west, so sort of from 22. The spots beside the covered salt shed would be for additional type of rock and sand. So the highway department, when they pull up asphalt, she actually, Megan and the crew keep that and they repurpose it. I'm not the best person to say how that's done, but you have times where you would put that on the side of a newly paved road, I believe, and things of that nature. So they work amazingly to reduce cost every place they can. This shows you salt storage with hopefully room to be able to also mix sand with it. Sand would also be in some of those side pieces. And these are just some more graphical things. This is the estimate of probable cost. So this is a feasibility study, which is also a preliminary engineering report, which comes to the budget. So, the engineer went through site preparation, building the building, their engineering costs, and then there are an amount put for inflation over 2 years, and then contingencies. So there's 30% contingency on here, which is pretty typical. So I think the idea is to approach this budget and understand that we're not going to blow through it. This particular budget, including all the contingencies, comes to just over $6.3 million. Millerton, or Northeast rather, just completed their highway garage. I don't think they've quite opened it. The supervisor and Megan visited it. They have also visited other garages, which he can tell you about. They had to pass several bond resolutions because they did it sort of in pieces, but also their budget increased. At the end of the day, it was, I think, very close to the 6.3. So we can think that that's probably where our project is going to come in. And I should, a note about money and about deferred maintenance. So eventually you have to repair something, and things have a useful life. They have to be replaced. The school district has things that they have to be replaced, and they're doing it very wisely. Our highway garage was built before 1955. It was poor construction at the time, and we've used it as much as we can. And the more you put things off, the more costly they are. If COVID taught us anything, it's that things only get more and more expensive. So for funding, my recommendation, and I will present this sort of to the board, is that we can use a portion of our ARPA funds for the funding. I think a good rollout of this, and I've spoken with the supervisor and Megan as well, is that we move through this process with the idea that by the end of the summer, early fall, that we have gone through the process of multiple bid for an engineer. I should say that, the engineering work of this is about $300,000, and it should be, put out to bid. There should be a scope of work for that. It may very well be that the engineer who prepared this report is the one to choose. It might be that they aren't, and that there's a better choice out there. But that ARPA funds could begin paying for that. When it comes to grant funding, Community Development Block Grant, which is generally managed through Dutchess County, they have about $200,000 that I imagine could come from that. It changes every year. But these big projects, you start them first, you understand where you get the grant funding, and then you go out and get the grants, and they're all reimbursable. New York Water Quality Improvement Act, there is a program there for salt sheds. So the salt shed in this project is, I think, a little under $200,000, so it would probably pay for all of that. USDA, there are some community facility grant programs there. The Climate Smart Task Force wanted us to include solar panels on the roof, so the 6.3 budget is inclusive of putting solar panels. That could be an element of the project that isn't done or is done at a later time, but there probably is money through the EPA for the installation of the solar panels. And then the overall project will be first banded, so you go out and you get short-term financing for the project, and then that rolls up into a long-term bond. And my thought is that the long-term bond would probably be around $5 or $5.1 million over the useful life of a project like this, which is probably 15 or 20 years. I know that's a lot.
I'm sorry, you're saying that the useful life of the garage is 15 to 20 years?
No, good question.
Thank you.
So this comes from New York State. So our bond counsel will ultimately be the one who, in coordination with the engineering firm who did the PER, this preliminary engineering report, to come together with what the useful life of the project would be, for bonding purposes, not for how long. I mean, one would hope that with proper maintenance that this will last 50, 75 years. I mean, our current one did, and it's built on a landfill. So, yeah. The useful life is somewhat important on the bonding in that we can make a decision, we can look at the numbers. It's like a mortgage. Let's think about a home loan, right? You can get a 30-year mortgage, and you pay lower monthlies, which are principal, the amount you borrow plus the interest, the cost of it, and that you might have to do that because you don't have the income to pay a higher amount. But over time, you pay more interest. But maybe that's okay because you don't want to have larger amounts that you pay monthly. Or you can do it for a shorter period of time. You could do it for 15 years, but your monthly expense will be much higher, but you save on the interest. So I think that there'll be a discussion about what looks best for us and our community. This will follow a line of debt that some of our current debt will fall off. So our main debt is from 3 projects: the landfill, the rail to trail, which by next meeting, hopefully I'll have an analysis of at least what our total debt from that was, and the heating system in Town Hall. So those are our 3 big pieces of debt, which is right now about 2.8 and change. Those will end before this project does. So, maybe we look at it. There'll be an overlap for a little while, but that debt will fall off, and so it will feel like a reduction in debt payment. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Longer answer than what you wanted, probably.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Can we ask questions? Just
Well, not normally, but I'll make an exception.
Oh, thank you, sir.
But you have to go, I'm sorry, you do have to go to the podium.
So that people can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Ken Topolsky from Amenia. I imagine with 70 years of solvents and gasoline and salt pouring into the ground in the current garage, you're going to have to do some remediation at some point. And I'm wondering if the cost of that, which could be quite substantial, should not be forecast and put into a bond now. if you're going to go for the money, you might as well get it and not have to have the same conversation for 10 or 15 years on where to raise the money to remediate
Right.
the current property.
There is more money for that from grants, so that's a piece of it, but that does need to be figured out.
You're going to post this on the website?
Yes, I will. So the highway garage, the highway department section of the website already has the engineering report and some photos, but we will post this there as well. Yes.
But are you going to like elaborate, like I said, elaborate under American Rescue Plan, like a little paragraph, one slide for that, one slide for community development, like what you're projecting to do under each one, and elaborate on it, because a lot of people, you know, they don't know exactly what those are for, so if you elaborate more, people will be more interested and they know what you're talking about. You understand what...
Charlie, either you repeat the question or you have to go to the podium.
Yeah, okay, so I'm being asked if we can elaborate on the funding sources to better describe what they are.
And what you're going to do.
Yeah, so yes, I can add that to the presentation, and their use would be for payment of the overall project. All of those would go to payment of the project.
Okay, thank you. Next up is discussion, and for a change of pace, Rosanna is going to tell us about the traffic safety issue at Maplebrook and potential solution.
Okay, so this refers to the crosswalk,
Probably need to get this closer to you.
refers to the crosswalk there where the students cross by, you know, Perry Corners Road and Old North Road. And it's a very dangerous situation. Cars go very fast, quickly over that road, and it's really kind of scary. So I spoke with DOT. They said that we could put up flashing lights or the radar speed signs. But in order for them to do that, we would need support from the town. And then when I brought it to the town at the last meeting, they said they would need some support for Maplebrook. So I approached Maplebrook. They sent a letter supporting this project. And then now I guess it's up to the town to support it as well.
So what kind of, what do we have to do that?
What exactly did DOT want from the board? Do they want something in the form of a writing? Do they want something in the form of a resolution? Do they want just a request, a formal request?
I think we could start with a formal request. He just wants something from the town that says, no, he said that we could send them a copy of the resolution that was passed regarding this in the support of the town. So that's what he mentioned. I don't know whether, you know, maybe a letter of support from the town board would work as well, but that's what he specifically said.
They usually want a resolution. That would be my anticipation of what they would have requested. So we could do a resolution for next meeting, requesting the speed light, traffic radar speed sign, yeah.
Right, and the flashing lights.
And the flashing lights, sure.
I don't imagine anyone has issues with that.
No.
With a letter of support. Okay, then that would be great, Ian. And Rosanna can probably give you more information on specifically
Yeah,
what
we can
DOT
work on that.
proposed.
Okay.
Yes, but then we're going to stop taking questions from the audience.
Okay, Walter Dietrich, Amenia. If you're going to go this far, why don't you ask DOT for a crosswalk there? I mean, sorry, a stop sign, four-way stop. It will help with the amount of speeding, and it will also help with what you're trying to do. That's all.
I'm sorry, Walter, where are you talking about?
At Maplebrook, there's 2 stop signs now.
Right?
Make it 4. Make a stop sign on 22. Slow them down. Because I've been there and seen these trucks and stuff go racing through them, flashing lights, the kids are trying to cross.
Well, I'm sorry, it's Dutchess County, I mean, it's a state road, so there are limits in terms of what will be allowed, but we will talk to them.
I'm just recommending you might ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Interior room changes was, I guess, my issue. I proposed to use this room not only for town board meetings, but for planning board and zoning board meetings. The chairs of those committees seemed certainly willing. I don't know that they were excited, but they were certainly willing to do that. Otherwise, those spaces are only used 3 times a month. The upstairs planning and zoning rooms are only used 3 times a month, which seems sort of crazy. And I also wanted to have planning and zoning meetings televised, because a lot of people have said it's very hard for them to have any idea of what's going on those boards, and it is important decisions. So, as I said, Mike has agreed to do the videotaping or video production or projection of all those things, which is great. And there's actually a resolution about that coming up. The other space that I've been, trying to get more use out of is there's a storage room directly above this one that is pretty loosely packed for storage. And I'm hoping that the part that you enter into can have a table and chairs and a coffee pot and be used as an employee break or lunchroom, but also in the evening be used for committee meetings, because right now the only space in Town Hall that's actually accessible for town committees is the back of the auditorium, which is less than ideal. It means we have to heat the whole room just for that purpose. So we do seem to be making progress on the room directly above us, because that's pretty easy. And we just have to move stuff out and kind of move it together. That a lot of the stuff in there is from REC, although it's from other committees and departments as well. But I spoke to Katie about all this, and she seemed on board with sort of organizing her storage space. And that's sort of all I have on that, but I thought there might be some discussion or people might have questions. Not from the audience, we can't do that.
Right, the only thing I have, I think I know we've covered this a couple of times already, was that to make this a media room in general.
Right.
And I don't know that we have that money in the budget, but I think that it's long overdue, and it should be the one place where we can go and effectively communicate to our constituents, you know.
Yes.
So.
Agreed. Actually, I stopped before we got to that, but there
Yeah.
is some money in the budget that we got from Altice for buying new equipment. I think the other part of it is figuring out what's the best way to lay this out, both for broadcasting and for being able to see presentations, because it's always sort of awkward now. And that would have to work for all 3 boards. But I think that's all doable and, will happen over time. I would also imagine we can get some grants for that, but at this point, I don't even know what the total would be. Mike figured out a long time ago what just the equipment for this room would be, but I think we're going to need to do somewhat more than that for all three boards to use it, especially because zoning and planning tend to be pretty heavy in terms of presentation boards and drawings and stuff. So I think it's important that people at home be able to see that, and that the members of the boards and the audience can see it, and that's a little tricky to figure out. So
Where was the proposed NECC satellite office?
The NEC satellite office at this moment might move into the planning board, the vacated planning and zoning board rooms. NECC, I thought, just wanted space for 2 of their social workers, basically, to kind of meet Amenia residents who come up to their facility in Millerton now to get advice on, on rent assistance or paying their taxes or whatever it might be. But they seem very willing to also do classes and have like a after-school space for teenagers, to also use that space for seniors, for senior events, and for the long-awaited chair yoga class that people have been asking for a long time. So it seemed like they were actually willing to do a lot of activity work as well. And so I think they may need a room that size. I went through that with Christine Sargent, and she felt that there were a lot of possibilities, but we need to know that they would really use that efficiently. I mean, it seems like in any event it's going to be more efficiently than just 3 board meetings a month.
Right.
This one is only 2 board meetings a month, so it would be good to kind of compact those things and be able to offer other activities at Town Hall. Okay, so next is the cannabis opt-in, do you have stuff to add to that? Because I know you've been, no,
I don't
you've
think
been
we
looking
have
at-
much, I don't think we have much to add to it because we've been discussing it for a couple months now.
Well, but you got some information from New York State, didn't you?
Yeah, but that was more just like in the finance aspect of it, how the money is split out, and Charlie talked about that before.
Okay. The one thing I did do, because I promised to do it the last 2 meetings, and I did it very clumsily because it's freehand, but I tried to show like where cannabis dispensaries wouldn't be allowed in the downtown. And I'm sorry I didn't make this for everyone, but I finished it 30 seconds before this meeting. You have to be 1,000 feet away from a house of worship, from school grounds, childcare, or public parks. So we have the Catholic Church over here. We have the synagogue over here. Much of this property is a public park, and will be more so presumably. And there's also Fountain Square. So this is just showing from one corner of the public park that's attached to the schoolhouse, and one corner of the Catholic school here. Those are just 2 circles showing 1,000 feet more or less. And I just didn't know. I've been wanting to like look at this because I was curious as to how much space there actually was allowed in the downtown, where that could go. And I was actually a little disappointed to see how few our options are. And again, this is without, I mean, there'd be more around here, and there'd be more around here. So it does use up a lot of our intersection, which is unfortunately. I know the last time we talked about it, there seemed to be some sentiment for moving it to Freshtown Plaza or someplace that has more parking and is out of town, which is great on some level. It doesn't solve my concern, which I was sort of hoping that a dispensary would bring more foot traffic to the downtown, but that looks pretty impossible based on sort of a quick mapping of that. So anyway, there's other stuff that needs to be figured out, I guess, but and we probably would need a planner to do this efficiently and to write the local law. But I was kind of bummed out to find out that our options in terms of having retail in our retail core seems highly unlikely. So, I just wanted to mention that, and I can, send out more send out copies of this, although it probably should be
I want
better
copies
done.
of your drawing.
Okay, well, just because it's so ugly, don't tell anyone I was an architect in my past life. Okay, so that's really all I had on that. We know for regulating dispensaries, we'd have to have a local law, and we'd have to pull the trigger on that probably after a bit more discussion. Okay, amending the zoning to permit multifamily dwellings in SR districts. So as we found out dealing with the proposed project opposite Town Hall and behind the development there, and I certainly hadn't focused on before. The one zoning district in Amenia that doesn't allow multifamily housing is the suburban residential district, which I always found a little strange because I know there is multifamily living in a lot of those districts. A lot of the houses in suburban residential actually have been broken up. I found this out door knocking into 2 or more apartments and are rented out, which was, again, a big surprise to me. But I wasn't really sure why that district was selected for special treatment. And I did ask Bill Flood, because I know he was involved in writing that, but he didn't remember. He said there were some groups that were protesting about various things, and maybe it was from one of them. I'd like to get more information in terms of why it was written that way, but on the face of it, it just doesn't make sense to me, because in suburban residential, we're mostly talking about turning a garage into an accessory dwelling unit, or breaking up an existing house into multiple apartments. So I just think we need more information on that in terms of why that is. I think that it's probably a good idea, but I don't think we should do that without understanding what the history of that is and what the impact would be. So that's sort of as much as I know at this point, but I just wanted to bring that up to everyone for their
It's
thoughts.
my understanding, and Ian is here, that you can have an ADU in an SR district with their...
I'm sorry, you're right.
Right, but what this is speaking of is multifamily buildings, more or less.
Right, which is 3 or more.
Okay.
Right. Although I do know some of the apartments, some of the doors I knocked on actually had 3 apartments within a single house. But in any event, yeah, that needs to be thought about more carefully, but I just wanted to put that out there. And the last thing is the procurement policy and procedures. This only got out to you last night, so I don't know that people have had time to read it. I did read it, and it is certainly at 10 pages more specific than the 3 pages we had before. It is but based on Dutchess County information, but again, I know that this has caused some consternation for the board in terms of figuring out what we have to do to bid stuff, and it's caused a lot of consternation for Ian apparently. So, and I know he's been working to try to make this happen for a long time, but in fairness to the board, I think you all need time to look at that before we can discuss it more fully. That was sent out, I thought that was sent out with the other documents I sent out last night, no?
5:30.
Yeah, it
What?
was, it was.
5:30.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
But
it
we
was
have-
sent out last night.
We're going to have to take a look at that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I think one of the documents which we're going to talk about is that.
Oh, the emergency operations plan.
Yeah.
Right, so the emergency operations plan, Nancy Nowak, who's the supervisor's typist secretary, updates this on an annual basis just to put the correct names in because the board members change and the people who are actually on the emergency group that actually is responsible for dealing with emergencies here also changes as the staff may change, like our water operator was on it and that's changed. So as far as I know, all she's done is update the names to the current staff, which is why it's kind of not such a big deal. It was raised, we had a resolution earlier to change out one water operator for another, but Nancy protested that because she said she always does that this time of year when all of these decisions are known, including knowing that Nicole is on the board. So that's really...
Yeah, I took a quick scan, and not that I know, I'm that familiar with this, but
Yes.
I did notice that she had my phone number wrong, so.
Oh, well, that's not good.
So
Well, an extra reason for everyone to look at it, but...
So I suggest everybody look at it, and
Yes,
I've
I think
already
that's
sent
a
her a
good idea.
message on that, so
Okay.
it's taken care of.
Okay.
But I just thought it's worth bringing up.
Thank you.
All right.
And I will tell her, I'll make her aware of that too. Phone numbers, but I think that is a good idea. The first resolution we have is actually adopting that, but maybe we can adopt it with the idea that if we find other errors.
Just
that we
11A on
I'm sorry?
page 11, 1A.
That's 11.
1A.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
11
11-1. 1A is after it. But
Okay.
it's just a, yeah, if you go up ahead, the heading is 11-1.
Okay, so I think
Yeah.
we'll check all that
I
information.
think we should check it before we accept
Do
it.
you want to wait to
Yeah.
accept it? Okay.
Because
I
I
don't have a problem with that.
I don't know exactly what to check for, but when I saw my number wrong, I thought that was a red flag, so.
Right. Is everyone else okay with tabling it until everyone has more time to go through it? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is authorizing our audiovisual technician to perform additional duties. Mike is salaried, so we're asking him to do 5 meetings a month instead of 2, and authorizing an increase in his salary for said duties. That would be the first resolution, which I guess I should be reading. Sorry. Oh, no,
Our
it's
first resolution this evening is number 47.
number 47. Okay, hold on one second. I knocked everything out of order. Okay, that is, sorry, look after this. Okay, sorry. I have procurement policy, it's just because it's listed in here first. Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, look at that. Thank you. Resolution number 45, you said? 47 of 2024, authorizing audiovisual technician to perform additional duties and authorizing an increase in salary for for said duties. Whereas the Town of Amenia Town Board, at their January 4th, 2024 reorganizational meeting, appointed Mike Flynn as their audiovisual technician at the annual salary of $7,021 for the purpose of televising the town board meetings. And whereas the audiovisual technician position is a part-time, non-competitive position consisting of no more than 20 hours per week pursuant to the rules for the classified civil service of Dutchess County. And whereas the town board is desirous of having the planning board and zoning board of appeals meetings televised, and whereas the town board has requested Mike Flint to perform these additional duties of televising the planning board and zoning board of appeals meetings, and whereas the town board has agreed to increase Mike Flint's annual salary from $7,021 to $10,621 for the additional duties of televising the planning board and zoning board of appeals meetings. Now, there it be resolved as follows. 1, the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes Mike Flynn to perform the additional duties of televising the planning board and zoning board of appeals meetings. 3, the town board authorizes an increase in Mike Flynn's annual salary from $7,021 to $10,621 for performing the aforementioned duties. 4, the town supervisor and bookkeeper are hereby authorized and directed to file any and all documents with the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources to effectuate the terms of this resolution. Motion by Leo Blackman, seconded by...
I'll second it.
Okay, and I have, just want to note that while we're talking about an annual salary here, we don't actually know when Mike is beginning, and it would, of course, be prorated for the remainder of this year.
And that's within the budgetary terms of this year?
It is, and it would come out of the...
So oftentimes the resolutions have a line item accompanying with it. Is that right, Ann?
He's an employee, it's coming out of his employee line. Shouldn't take it out of contingency.
It was going to come out of contingency. This was really, I mean, that was what we discussed. But the way it's written, it looks like we're taking that money out of money that exists.
Out of his employee line, coming out of his salary line.
Okay.
He has his own budgeted line.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. All right. So seconded, I guess we vote.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilpersons
Turn this to you. I
Rebler?
hope I
Yes.
have one
Ham?
somewhere.
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is, for God's sakes, the next one is the approving proposed striping plan for the Town of Amenia Town Hall parking lot and authorized proceeding in accordance with the plan. We looked at the latest one from Stoneleaf last time. I think it's attached to this anyway. I double-checked with Megan, and she actually did have 2 changes, which was that she wanted to make sure that the 2 spots at the end of the Stoneleaf parking, which are for cars rather than trucks, for compact cars. Actually, it should say that on the sign, and it doesn't now. And the other was that she is concerned about this turning radius. I'm sorry. These are the 2 spots we were just talking about here. And the turning radius she was concerned about was here. She said that she had actually driven a truck in and was concerned that that might not be enough clearance. So I'm going to talk to the people at Stoneleaf about that. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think at this point we should assume that we're approving it with those 2 changes as requested by Megan. Let me read the...
So we're just have to rephrase the resolution?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
talking about these parking spots.
okay, why do I have multiples of that? This is really annoying.
I thought we were going to add flow.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so resolution number 40. Oh, you have a question?
So I think whatever, there should be one master diagram
Right.
where we actually show that on the resolution.
We'll ask them to do that, but they actually would like to get started on this now that the weather is breaking.
No, but on your
you
resolution.
mean it should be attached to the resolution?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think if you mark yours, just so we have one for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
record,
yeah.
indicating what exactly those turning.
So we're really talking about signage, not striping.
I'm sorry?
We're really talking about signage, not striping.
Well, no.
Well, the striping, I thought we agreed on, except that there's that one location where Megan thought we should give up a space.
All
So
right.
that does change the striping slightly.
Because they had 11 spaces originally that they were...
No, not for their spaces, for the space on the roadside.
Right.
Yeah, there's
So
two,
we're
basically.
we're
there's
talking
two-
about
two-
removing, she wanted to remove one of the public spaces.
Public spaces,
Yeah.
okay, that's it.
Okay.
It's one on either side, correct?
You're moving,
Yeah, we're,
One on either side, right? Like,
No, I
no,
think
no, no,
just
just
this
on
one.
just on the
Just this
approach
The
side.
entering,
She wanted to get rid of the first
entering
space
one.
after that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
you don't have a
Okay.
yellow pen?
I mean,
So, yes?
Stoneleaf won't object to that because it's a public,
I don't think so.
yeah.
Unless they've ordered the
It won't
signs.
show on the
as long as there's
screen.
one diagram that shows what it is. I don't-
Okay, let me try this. Let me try to read this. Approve proposed striping plan for the Town of Amenia Town Hall parking lot and authorize proceeding in accordance with the plan. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, by Resolution 48 of 2020, granted a revocable license agreement to Stoneleaf Construction LLC, Stoneleaf, authorizing the use of 11 designated parking spaces within the accessory parking lot adjacent to Town Hall in consideration of Stoneleaf's agreement to stripe the entire parking lot and to provide snow plowing and de-icing services in accordance with the terms and conditions of the revocable license agreement. And whereas Stoneleaf has submitted a proposed striping plan to the Town of Amenia Highway Superintendent and the Town Board for review and approval, and whereas the Town Board, in consultation with the Town of Amenia Highway Superintendent, approves the proposed striping plan, a copy of which is annexed here too, and authorizes proceeding with the striping in accordance with the approved plan. And I guess we should note that with 2 changes requested by the Highway
Yeah,
Superintendent.
as amended.
Okay, as amended. Now, heretofore, therefore, be it resolved as follows. Can you actually take this over, Paul, since I forgot to bring something to drink?
Now therefore be resolved as follows, the recitation set forth or above incorporated in this resolution. It is fully set forth and adopted therein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia, in consultation with the Town of Amenia Highway Superintendent, hereby approves a proposed striping plan for the accessory parking lot adjacent to the Town Hall pursuant to the revocable license agreement between the Town of Amenia and Stoneleaf Construction LLC. Stoneleaf Construction LLC is hereby authorized to commence the striping of the accessory parking lot adjacent to the Town Hall in accordance with the striping plan annexed hereto. The Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute any and all documentation necessary to effectuate this resolution. Motion by Paul.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Blackman.
Yeah. Yes.
Councilpersons Remillard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, I totally messed up my package. It seems sort of hard to imagine. It's probably still in here. Sure, why not? Thank you. Thank you to my fellow council members for having their papers in better order than mine. Do you want to try this one, Brad? I guess the only thing I would say is we had an objection in public comment. I don't know if that changes things for anyone, but
Not really.
this is what
Okay.
based on our last conversation.
Authorizing installation of Town of Amenia welcome signs, whereas resolution number 46 of 2024,
Thank you so much.
the Town of Amenia and Town Board authorized the purchase and ratified the design of 4 new Welcome to Amenia signs, and whereas the signs have been received and now are ready to be installed. Okay.
What?
It says, whereas the signs have been received and are now ready to be installed.
That's not right.
That's not right.
That's not right.
I think
There was one sign created as a test, but they're waiting to order the other signs until they get our approval.
so. I think that this ought to be tabled.
What?
Well, or rewritten at least.
Just then,
All we need to do is change.
I was, I would just remove that whereas. I was under the impression they were already ready to go. So I would just remove that whereas. The second whereas. Come out.
Okay. And whereas in compliance with the Town of Amenia procurement policy, 3 quotes were sought for the installation of the 4 new Welcome to Amenia signs. And the following quotes were received. James Curtis, $5,450. Hillsdale Custom Framing, $1,800. Pete Niffen, no response. Whereas Hillsdale Custom Framing submitted the lowest quote for the installation of the 4 new signs in the amount of $1,800. And whereas the town of Amenia has determined it's in its best interest of the town to authorize Hillsdale Custom Framing to install the 4 signs. Welcome to Amenia signs at a cost of $1,800. Now, therefore, it be resolved as follows. The recitation set forth and incorporated in this resolution as fully set forth and adopted herein, the town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes Hillsdale Custom Framing to install the 4 new Welcome to Amenia signs at a cost of $1,800. The funds will be paid from budget line.
Building EQ, budget line 16202.01.000.
Okay. The town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documentation necessary to effectuate this resolution. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And discussion or clarification that this is not for the signs, even though there was in public comment, someone brought up about the signs. This is just the framing.
Yeah, just for the frame
Okay.
and the signs. Thank you.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes?
Councilpersons Reveler?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. Well, other matters?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Give me a minute. And we may have covered some of these already, so. Emergency operations plan covered. Just to say it again so we're clear, Amenia Town Cleanup, which is done yearly, and we start at Fountain Square, which is originally scheduled on April 20th, has been moved to April 27th, starting at 9 a.m. at the Fountain Square in the town of Amenia. That's from the Enhancement Committee. And and something new, and I circulated this amongst all the
Yes.
board members, from the village of Millerton sent out, you don't have a copy, I can show it to you, Leo. The Millerton Spring Newsletter, which basically has a calendar of events right through June. And it has other information on this one page. They sent it out with a water bill. And what I find great, it tells you when the town board meetings are, it tells you when this meeting is, or planning board meetings, in a one-page flip-open flyer. It's just a general mailing, and I thought we need to be doing this. So, and that everyone's received that? Did you want to see a copy? Okay, you got a copy?
I didn't,
All right.
I mean, I got to see it, but
Keep it.
if you sent it, I will
Yep.
make sure I look.
Yeah, I'll show it to you right now.
Oh,
Brad, would that also include the,
oh, look at that.
like
Yeah.
the rec
Did you see
committee?
The rec committee has their own calendar that they've sent out, right?
Yeah.
Has new one been sent out?
Yeah.
But it seems like it would be more cost-effective to do
To
everything.
do everything
Yeah,
on
to do
there.
everything.
Everything at once?
And they include rec stuff. They have
Yeah.
the summer camp on here, the community center.
Summer camp is on the block, yeah, but it's one page.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And so we have this template we can follow. Yeah.
And also, I think of Waco, they're also working on getting a calendar, so if everybody could work together, and it could be for like everything,
Yeah,
that would be nice. Because refrigerators are only so big.
True.
I'm sorry, what, the...
Refrigerators.
No, not that. What is what else would go on the calendar?
Well, Waco was talking about this same thing, having a community calendar, and in some cases including both Millerton and Amenia, because it is a school district thing.
Right.
So somehow we need to all come together so everything is kind of in one place.
Okay.
And as Rosanna was saying, the summer camp is on here. The Northeast Community Center has their own little square with events. Upcoming events now, April 1st through the end of June. Welcome to Spring, Eddie Collins Park Memorial Park. There's something here. And then a couple other things. Earth Day is on here. It's just really simple and easy and one page and one place to go.
Great.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Any other, I'm sorry, any other matters?
Yeah, we have to have an executive session
Yeah.
in regards to Kent Hollow.
Oh, at the end, I mean after, but are there town board comments?
That's it.
Okay, then we'll adjourn the public session, and I propose that we, yes?
Prior to adjourning, Rosanna's going to make a motion to go into an executive
Oh, okay.
session. But there are, when we come out, there's no other matters.
Business.
Yeah.
All right. So I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss Kent Hollow.
I second.
She's gonna, I just want to confirm that
Yeah.
you're gonna
We have
amend
to
that
add-
to excuse the clerk and that you're offering to
Excuse
read
the
the
clerk
minutes.
and,
Sorry, I just-
and
Yeah, but I wanna make sure.
and the
You got to
supervisor.
write it down.
And the
so.
supervisor.
And the supervisor.
And the supervisor.
Wow, excellent.
Excuse
Okay,
town
kids,
clerk and-
I'm the luckiest.
Supervisor and Rosanna Ham will take the minutes.
No.
And that was Rosanna, and who seconded?
Good to see you. Yes, have you been all right?
Yeah, you've been working a lot.
Okay.
Supervisor Blackman?
I'm leaving.
You got to vote.
You have to still vote.
Say yes.
Oh, yes.
Council members Rebellard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys.